Everyone talks about AI, but they don't want to implement it. You need to really understand the robot. You need to be really smart in the way you approach understanding and learning from machines that learn from you. Currently, when you Google something, what you will see is the Google summary. Google summary is not something you pay for. You cannot go and pay Google to be in Google summary. They have their own algorithm, which is AI based. And basically, this is your fantastic chance to be ahead of those who really paid money to be on position 1 and position 2 with the smart way you do things, right? What we currently think is that AI should bring value to us. We rarely think, okay, which value my brand brings to AI in order for them to perform their job. And if you do this, your own marketing job in a great way, then AI will be just enjoying working with your brand. I believe that any marketer should really know and understand the basics of storytelling, because at the end of the day, AI will never replace you if you know how to tell the right story.
Things are changing in SEO and search marketing so fast. Do you have a framework of how you adapt to new things? You were just telling me about testing hypotheses and seeing whether they were proven right, or if you need to change. What's the framework for you guys of how you adapt?
Okay, so, I would be really happy to say that there is a framework that works every day for a year. But the way we approach things is that we really just monitor data every day, right? So we have our selected channels of lead generation, and we see, we constantly have a list of KPIs that we review, and then we make our decisions whether, we need to make a change in the way we approach link building and SEO and content pipeline and PR efforts, and the way we work with brands and co-branded content. And then, that just helps us to see, okay, if there is a change and it lasts for 3 days and it's not going the way we planned, right? So that means we need to stop, fail fast, learn fast, right? You need to cancel whatever you've tried, and then, try again with a different approach. In a couple of days, as with SEO, you will not see the results next day. You just need to get it, to give it maybe 10 to 14 days, sometimes a little bit less, to see the results, and if they are positive, then I think it's like the way you approach allergy, right? You remove everything, and then day by day you add something, and then you test and you see if it affects it positively. So I would say that, our framework, our framework is, fast change and fast decision, because we simply cannot come up with a solid foundation that would not be changed in a year or two, and then, just rely on this. So I would say that every day it's something that we learn, something that we test every day. 50 AIs appear, right? And you want to test them because they might be, just like a fireworks, right? Nothing. You will test it, you'll see that that's just a combination of what you already use, just like packaged differently. However, it could be something good, right? So it could be something that will be helpful. And then you need to be aware of this AI and try to test it, try to implement it, and see, if you can utilize all of the features of it. So I would say that our mindset is set towards constant development, constant experimental approach. We're getting ready to have a plan B every day, right? So it's never only plan A. The way we try it, it works, and then we will continue with that. No, we're always having plan B and plan C, because tomorrow it can be another change.
Yeah. And it's so interesting to have these two approaches in SEO, which historically has, as you mentioned, it takes a long time. I mean, there are agencies that basically say you're not really going to see the rewards of your SEO traditionally for the next 90 days to 180 days. It's an interesting juxtaposition of saying, hey, we need to move, we need to iterate and change quickly for the long term, because now the new era of search is not about long-term strategy, because like you mentioned, we can't have something that we need to be able to build on everything that we're publishing and optimizing and everything like that, but it can't be the same way every day. I'm curious, do you have, like, with that in mind, is there a strategy that with every client you consistently do?
So I will not say about every client, right? Because, I can tell you about the way we approach clients before we meet them, right? So it's the part of generation, because this is where marketing has the biggest impact at the moment, when we talk about the SEO. So I will just tell you two things that really they really drive me, and they are really driving my passion and my curiosity to really find some cool ways how to do this. So whenever you Google something, right, previously you would be relying on those who pay for ads, because this is the pages that you would see in the very beginning, right, of the
Mm-hmm.
Google search first page. Then you would see those who do SEO well. Currently, when you Google something, what you will see is the Google summary.
Mm-hmm.
And Google summary is not something you pay for. You cannot go and pay Google to be in Google summary. They
Mm-hmm.
have their own algorithm, which is AI based, and basically, this is your fantastic chance to be ahead of those who really paid money to be on position 1 and position 2 with the smart way you do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here you need to really understand how you work with AI. It's not something what you do with Google, right? You don't go to their, algorithm change or update page, and then you're like, okay, so this is what Google wants us to do right now. No,
Mm.
you need to really understand the robot, right? You need to understand, you cannot talk, in a way, you cannot find this information about ChatGPT on their own website, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you need to be really smart in the way you approach understanding and learning from machines that learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really
Mm.
brilliant way how people can really, let's say, keep their jobs, right? We
Mm-hmm.
can still remain professionals, still be valuable on the market, for all of the professionals to know how to understand the robot, how to test, right, AI system.
Mm.
And the way we do things, of course, we try to not just guess, but we try to understand the way AI system makes a decision to whether your content is meeting the criteria, gets, the right trust rate, and the way you would get into this, reply of the
Mm.
AI, right? Into the way they pick the information and how they make their how do they make their decisions
Mm-hmm.
about your brand, about any type of search. And I think that's really interesting. And that
Mm-hmm.
helps us actually to shape what we do and to then, understand, okay, which content we need to prepare, which brands we should be published with among,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what is our, let's say, ecosystem where we make the biggest impact on web and within AI as well. So I would say that the way things change, of course, we are totally check what is happening with Google, with algorithm, what you need to do in regards to optimizing your website, in the keywords, to be ahead of all of that competition. However, parallel approach is to really be very smart, be very curious, and to be very creative in the way you test if you can match and give value to AI. It's not that, it's a little bit of a change of roles, right? Because what we currently think is that AI should bring value to us. AI
Mm-hmm.
should create content, create visuals, bring reports, create dashboards, and so on and so forth. But we rarely think, okay, which value my brand brings to AI in order for them to perform their job,
Mm.
right? And if you do this, your own marketing job in a great way, then AI will be just enjoying working with your brand, giving you this like like a summary position in Google. You will be ahead, and you will be optimizing your budget. You will be ahead of everyone who just, paid to be on page 1, number 1 to 3 position. You will be ahead of them, right? And you will be in links, you will be in all of the content you create, and so on and so forth. And of course, we should not also forget that currently referral and trusted content and trusted platforms are becoming more and more impactful. This is
Mm.
what we, smart people would go and, ask their questions in forums, in Quora, in Reddit, and so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. We would not rely on Google really picking up a lot of information from there, right? But currently, Google would go to platforms like YouTube, they would go to LinkedIn, they would go to Reddit and Quora and all of the other places where people interact among each other, what we, of
Mm-hmm.
course, hope, right? That these are not robots communicating between
Mm-hmm.
one another. And then Google would trust this information, and they would actually take it and add it into AI search results. So I think it's so interesting the way that things change and what what digitally becomes important.
Okay. You said something that I really like. One is understand or learn from the machines that learn from you. And
Yeah,
then you also said bringing, like, AI brings us value. And that's how most people think of it. Like, how can this machine serve me? But a
yeah,
point that I want to reflect back is you also mentioned how can we bring value to the AI so that it enjoys working with us and prioritizes us in the results. I want to go into the KPIs that you're looking at, and in that testing process of like how can we get into these AI overviews, what tests do we need to do? I'm sure there are, your team's coming up in the lab with creative ways to test and figure
Yeah,
out and reverse engineer, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
If you're looking at keywords and you're seeing AI is mentioning, a site consistently. So there's a lot of different angles that we could go in this conversation, but I first want to bring up what KPIs are important to you right now.
Okay, so what I want to bring up is one that I'm really, let's say that I'm really impressed with, right? Because normally being a marketer, the struggle that you have is that how do you measure the success of your brand, right? It's easy when you have SEO. It's easy when you have, the dashboard of your website. You
Mm-hmm.
can measure certain things that would identify okay, if I'm doing the right job, but sometimes it's not really about the brand. It's about the methodology and about, the systematic approach and keywords and testing how the system works. But then how do you know that your PR works? How do you know that your media buy works? How do you
Mm-hmm.
know that you're reaching the right audience? And if the interview that you are having with your partner has the right topic, or for example, if you're making even the interview with the right partner, with the right, let's say, selected direction, right? It could be a certain product or a certain business vertical. And then how do you know that that is done correctly? Is it
Mm.
just only by, clicking the link and, people really reaching out and converting on your website? Not exactly, I would say. And I think that being really passionate about brand marketing, that was something that I was always struggling with because
Mm.
what KPI do you give the brand, right? How do you understand that all of these, things work and you're doing that correctly? And I think
Mm.
this is where a smart use of AI systems, it really helps. And it helps with reverse engineering, reverse search, the way you really ask, how would, let's imagine ChatGPT, how would ChatGPT make a decision to show and to recommend your brand based
Mm.
on what criteria? And if you are stubborn enough, I would say, right, you can have a really good conversation with ChatGPT, right? You can ask questions and you would be getting more and more insights about how machine is making a decision, right? Which websites do they analyze? What type of content they consider
Mm.
trustworthy?
Mhm.
What are the must-haves of every content piece that you have on your website? Because you might have like incredible content, but it will be a plain text, right? And the way ChatGPT wants to have it, because they also have their checklist, right? The
Mhm.
way they want to have it, they might want to have infographics or, some images or quotes or tables of content and so on and so forth. And then you would ask, okay, which brands bring value to the trustworthy on my brand,
Mm.
right? From the partner list that I have, right? And then you would build this really smart understanding. What is your tribe, right? Your area of influence, because we are all in a way, influencers in our own
Mhm.
circle.
Mhm.
So being a B2B influencer is the same way, being an influencer in B2C, right? Like a
Mhm.
person advertising products. You would also have your niche where you make the biggest impact. And I think by setting these, where is my best brand reach? Where is my audience? What are the topics that I should be discussing? What are the top brands that I need to be seen with?
Mm.
These KPIs we really never set because we never knew how to measure the success of this campaign afterwards. And now ChatGPT and other AI systems, they give us an opportunity, they give us the feedback that listen, based on the information, based on this rate, based on this like credibility and trust rate and decision making and checkpoints, this is what we think your brand should look like in order to make an impact.
Mm.
Of course, let's not be we're pin glasses, right? Let's not be in illusion of, okay, ChatGPT can build me the whole marketing strategy. It's also the same way as we do with SEO and link building. We go, we test, we see if the results are matching with our expectations, then we scale.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying the coffee and the conversation so far. This show is powered by Digital Web Solutions, and if you've ever wondered how the biggest brands actually build authority, this is it. DWS has a massive network of over 250,000 publishers, real sites that help you rank on Google and, more importantly, stay visible in AI search. It's the heavy lifting most teams just can't do on their own. As a thank you for listening, they're offering an exclusive free strategy call just for our eCoffee listeners. It's a great way to map out your authority plan for 2026. Just click the link below to book yours and see how they can help scale your brand. All right, now let's get back to the show. You're bringing up something that you haven't explicitly said yet, but with this B2B kind of influencers and associating with the right people and listing your partners, I think the term is co-opetition.
Indeed, of course, of
Tell me
course.
about that. Tell me about it.
So, competition in a way, it's the way currently the world works, right? Because we're talking open systems.
Mm,
Previously, you would have in any industry a closed system of how, for example, one plant would be creating a car from scratch, right? It would be everything based in one plant.
mm-hmm,
But then you would open your system for people, to be bringing some parts of this car and creating some parts over the seas, and then
mm,
maybe design would be created in a different place. And then, for example, if you want just to use the premises of the plant, you would be just uploading your designs, and then whoever wants to use it would just pay you credit, right, for your intellectual property, for your AP rights, and then you would get money for just creating the design. You don't even need to produce anything.
mm-hmm,
In a way, I think this really came into digital, right? The way what we see at the moment is so many businesses that work on such an open system mindset,
mm-hmm,
where you are not supposed to be the owner of the whole, end-to-end product.
mm-hmm,
You just need to create a part that brings value, right? That delivers the end value to the final customer that would
mm,
be using the product. And I think that previously it would be always about, so, like, you are better than I am in this specific tool. So probably I will work on innovation in order to become better than you. Spend a year in developing the same feature in order to win a competition from you, right?
mm,
Currently, I think this changed, and it's changed for the better. I think it's so fantastic that you no longer need to spend years in creating a feature that you can just integrate from a partner that
mm,
might be your competitor, right? Maybe your own feature, like a basic one that you sell as a part of a basic package, is okay, right? It is okay for someone. But as an advanced, as a premium package, you would be collaborating with your, let's say, competitor in a way,
mm-hmm,
but you would bring value to your end client, and you would really win big, because the time that you save, the value that you bring, and then the collaboration, it just drives innovation forward. And
mm-hmm,
then that, okay, the industry is progressing, your client is growing and receiving revenue much faster than they would be while you would be developing this feature, right? And then at the end you would win as well, right? Because what you want at the end of the day is for your client to be successful, is to get revenue, and then come to you and use more of your products, and come for upsell, or if this is a revenue share model that we have, then of course we are more than interested in our clients to grow faster, to grow bigger. And I don't see any really harm in opening your system, in becoming really ecosystem in a way, right, where
mm-hmm.
different partners can come and integrate their solution into your, let's say, platform, into your product, and deliver this multiplied value to the client. So I would say competition is fantastic. I'm like totally, totally an ambassador for it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm reading this book called The Digital Seeker, and
Hmm.
it's the founder of a company called Bloomreach. And they are what he's talking about is in this new landscape of search marketing and just like digital environments, the three A's to focus on that's really shifting is AI,
Okay.
ambience, which is really interesting. I'll get into it later, and APIs. And I think what you're talking about is API in a different sense. But the point of APIs is exactly that. You no longer need to be the provider of everything. You can
Absolutely.
collaborate with other people and have them, contribute to the success of your client through their integrations. Ambient technology is essentially like how do we pull people off of the screen and into their real life, but connect them to the experience either through a smartwatch or through, like a phone call while you're interacting with the experience. and then obviously AI. Let's shift into AI and creating features that can benefit your client, creating features that can integrate with other partners or other opportunities. What sort of systems are you custom building in house at NuxGame that are just like making your life way easier?
Okay, so we had a really fantastic um, experience of product demo. It happened like really recently, and the way it worked is that we were offered a solution of one-stop shop of various AI tools being integrated into one system. And
Mm,
that's really fantastic because I think it's really cool when people come up with these fresh ideas and then they combine different tools into one.
mhm,
However, what we experience is that this fantastic tool, it doesn't really work for us. And the way
mm,
it works for us is a selection of exactly same AI tools that are integrated into that system, but being used separately. So I would say that the way it works for us, of course, we are optimizing our content production, the work with SEO and link building. We're checking, all of them tools that help us to make a decision based of, how the machine identifies this copy. Does it see that it is AI written? Does it see the right keywords? How many keywords there should be, right? So you would see plenty. You would see all of the prompts that you need to have in creating an email and, reaching out to the right person. You can even search for the right person using the right prompt.
mm,
However, what is really important here when we say AI and building the system is that unfortunately, at this point, there is no magical pill. You still need a human on top as a manager of all
mhm,
of the, let's say, robots, right? Of all of the AI tools in order to give the proper task for this system to work.
mm,
So what we currently enjoy using is, of course, everything that is provided by Claude, by ChatGPT, by Gemini, and all of these, AI systems. We use a lot of tools to help us to optimize the videos and, graphic content. However, we also need to understand that it's not something that you just put on Rails and then, it just goes. It
mm,
just simplifies the way you try to put concept into words, right? So sometimes you have this idea that you cannot draw yourself. It's a really, small example, but you would use AI not to create the final thing. You
mm,
would use AI to bring you the concept, to bring you the reference that then you will sit down and, redraw yourself if you need it
mm,
for a specific purpose. So answering your question regarding, which systems did we build, right? Still, there is no one system where you would download or upload all of the AI tools that you use for marketing simply because the world is evolving so
mhm.
fast.
Yeah.
Today, you're using this set of tools and they give you the results that you need. Tomorrow, things will change and they will not be able to take, some more insights or provide you with the data that you need. Or as AI can happen often, AI starts to really, really give you weird stuff, right? As we can say, it can break you into really artificial ideas that do not work. So you would cancel that subscription, right? And then try to find a different tool. So as much as we would love to have one system into which we would, upload all of the tools, it would be just one place that has it all and we would use it and it would work perfectly. And then we would close our need to even have such a discussion for a quarter even. That's
Mm,
still not possible. So the way the system works is we still test almost every few weeks a different AI
mm,
that we would use, try it out. If it works, we're buying a subscription and using it for a specific thing. If it doesn't, we cancel it and we never come back to it unless, it then becomes really cool. Sadly, there is no one thing,
yeah.
one shop for us yet.
Yeah. 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 There's no like massive platform that just is its own agency and can just like, do everything with one trigger, right? There,
Like, the system, let me know,
yeah,
I'll be
right.
even to invest my own money into that.
Right. Right.
That, that would be amazing, honestly.
I know there's a lot of people, a lot of marketers who are trying to build it. They say, I have my own Claude marketing, C suite or whatever that pretty much does that type of execution, but we'll see how long lasting it is. Like you just said, you need guidance, you need constant iteration and tweaking. Context windows get huge, hallucinations start to happen, grounding changes. So yes, I love the guardrails that we need to set in all of this. I was just curious. Yeah, let me just look at my notes here. Take me over to the link building side of things because we're seeing link building is having a resurgence. And we know that AI, the way it reads, it doesn't necessarily read the tags of the link. So no follow, do follow, sponsored,
Yeah.
UGC or anything like that are becoming less important. But what we're finding is it's more about the context that the citation or the brand mention or the keyword, it's more about the context and the quality of how the sentiment of how it's being mentioned in the content is really what's having a bigger impact. What are you seeing in terms of link building? Is it any different than, let's say, 10 years ago, or how are you approaching it?
Listen, 10 years ago, forget about it. It's different than it was half a year ago.
Yeah.
Previously, I think there was even a competition, right? Whoever buys more links, right?
Oh,
So if
yeah.
you're not buying like 1,000 million links, then what are you even doing, right? You're
Mm,
like losing all of your positions. You just need to have more of them. You need to have more links, more mentionings of your brand in whatever places. You would never even think about the domain, right? You would not even evaluate if this
mm,
domain is really ranking and bringing value to your brand. I think that all started back then, right? When we all realized that, okay, so maybe I should not be placing my link on that domain because that really devalues my brand and, that really brings harm. And then it shows the really bad health of my brand if I
mm,
am mentioned on this website. So I think this is when we stopped this, scaling of links without even thinking whether this is the right place to be for your brand specifically, right?
mm,
And then I think what happened with, more and more ways that Google changes their algorithm is that you're absolutely correct. Context is everything.
mhm,
Currently, the link should be not just in the right place, linked to the right keyword regarding your brand, but also that should be a link bringing really expertise, value, content that would really benefit and strengthen what is exactly in this content piece. So, for example, if you are linking a keyword which is like super important to you in your or in any article that you would see, and you redirect to the page which is not relevant, then you just spent money for nothing, right? And
mhm,
then you're thinking, okay, so that means that I need to strengthen the content, right? So it's the way you are creating a support content for your original content in a way, right? I'm sorry, for repeating myself here, but the way it works and the way we see it right now is that if you want to use a link, you need to be very smart. Which content do you bring? Where would you redirect the audience? Because
mhm,
then if this link is not performing, if this content is not interesting, if the Google robot goes through it and doesn't see any value in it, it doesn't see human expertise, it doesn't see these checkpoints that we just discussed, that it
mhm.
would, okay, what does that mean? Why would you link this keyword to this article? Then you're not only wasting your marketing budget, and that's okay if you have it, it's if nobody is tracking how much you spend, it's totally fine.
Yeah,
You know, living a dream, living a dream, nobody tracks my marketing budget.
right?
You're also you're actually harming your brand because at the end of the day, a combination, a selection, a whole list of all of these harmful links, it
Mhm,
will affect what your brand is on web.
mm, mhm,
And we would never think about it previously. The more links you have, the better. Now, the smarter you link
mm.
your content, then the better. And sometimes it's not the quality, the quantities. It's
Yeah,
the quality.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just looking at actually 2 different brands today on Ahrefs where I saw that their referring domains were just constantly increasing at a steady clip over the last 6 months, but their
Yeah,
organic traffic were just dropping like crazy. And then obviously you go in and you look at the quality of the links, they're either a bunch of spam or they're irrelevant and you're like, this is proving the point, right? It has
exactly.
to be
And you need to
relevant link
be
building.
exactly. And currently what we experienced, and I think that never, you would always feel that free PR is a yes every time, right? You
Uh-huh.
would never say no to something being published about your brand on a website if they don't ask money for it. Of
Yeah.
course, you are paying for it. However, currently, what we are now experiencing is that before agreeing to a published piece about our
Mhm.
brand, about, mentioning our products and services, we would not even for money, right? It can be
Mm.
like a, free guest posting, let's call it this way. We would say, listen, let us check your domain before we can agree to that. And
Mhm.
there are times where we just reject this opportunity, and it, in a way, it just breaks my heart as a,
Yeah.
person who wants, of course, to have more mentionings, to build really great relationship with media, with, some, let's say, guidelines, websites, and so on and so forth. But then you're like, okay, I really need to take care of my brand, and sometimes less is more. And I just need to lightly, without explaining that I'm really sorry, but your domain is really harmful for my brand. I cannot allow my interview to be
Yeah.
published there, even though it's fantastic. Having
Yeah.
a interview free of charge is really amazing. It's like sharing our expertise, and then you really say no to that. And I think this way things change dramatically.
Yeah. I completely agree. And it can be very difficult, especially for a smaller brand who's looking to just build authority in whatever way they can to say no to opportunities like that. It might hurt in the moment, but in the long term, it's going to benefit your brand, especially in this, in this new era where everything is based on trust and the robots also have to trust the
Yeah,
sources. Yeah.
yeah.
As we wrap up the conversation here, Yen, what are you doing that you feel is competitive that you see other agencies still not adapting to yet?
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you. So, to tell you the truth, currently, what we are struggling with is that we have so many agencies that
Mm,
were in the past. When I joined iGaming in 2019, they were simply incredible in, bringing your brand to the top with the help of content,
mm,
with the help of digital advertising, like, banner ads, with the help of, even video ads, and even
mhm,
podcast, and so on and so forth. And they were just incredible. You would just like media by calendar, you just buy all of these opportunities, and then in a year, your job is done, right? You just like see
mm,
really fantastic results. And currently, I think a lot of agencies, they still do not take AI and what we are discussing right now with you, the change in link building, the change in SEO logic. They do not take it seriously. They think
mm,
that, okay, maybe, it's a fun game for you to play, but let's keep, traditional things the way they are. And talking about the agencies that we unfortunately had to say goodbye to, is that we try to explain that there are so many things that they no longer work. They bring harm. You need to refocus on, AI search optimization. And we would love to work with you. Just give us the plan, how you see it can benefit our brand. And,
mm,
in the majority of cases, in 60 to 70%, we would be still receiving offers on traditional marketing activities.
mm,
So my advice to any agency that wants to bring value to any brand, to any team, big or small, it doesn't matter, is to really accept the reality. It might be harsh. It really changes the way you do things. It really changes the way you manage your websites, the way you produce your content, the formats of content that you are producing.
mhm,
Maybe you will need to do a little bit more work, right? Understanding what brand needs. Maybe you need to really talk to ChatGPT and buy that expensive license for 1 month, right? In order to do this reverse engineering search.
yeah,
But that would really help you to bring value to brands that are more than happy to outsource such services.
mhm,
And I think that this is such a massive gap, and this is such a massive opportunity to any agency out there to start thinking about, okay, things really changed. Maybe we should adapt to it and really show a little bit different approach. So things that our agencies missing is exactly what we are discussing with you.
yeah, yeah,
And everyone talks about AI, but they really don't want it, right?
yeah,
They really
yeah,
want to talk about it. They want to have interviews about it, but they don't want to implement it. And I
mhm,
think implementation is the biggest pain point that I see among so many agencies right now. And I don't want them to fail, right? I know so many great people who work in such agencies. They are super talented, but now they are already years behind.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the last point that I will make is speed, I think, is becoming the differentiator. Like how fast you can spin
Yeah,
something up and implement it and test and get feedback like this, that just the speed at being able to implement, I think is that's where I'm seeing the gap. Companies who are bloated and still trying
absolutely.
to, work with traditional SEO metrics, like is that going to even be relevant in 6 months? I don't know. Yeah, so speed is where it's at.
So true. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yanina, where can we find more about you and about NuxGame and about everything that you're learning about online?
So, first of all, you should follow our LinkedIn page. I think that gives the freshest perspective on what we do. Next Game on LinkedIn. It has all of the fresh content that we actually build accordingly to the latest practices. So I
Mm,
will be more than happy if people go and try it out. And then, if they go and test that search engine works the way my team works, my team plans it to work. And
mm.
if it doesn't, give us the feedback. That will help my ego to come back in shape and
Yeah.
okay, a little bit of a better job. And of course, you can follow myself on LinkedIn, Yanina Kaplya. I normally post more about leadership because that's my passion. So
Mm,
I really like to talk about managing human capital
mm,
and not too much about the product. I will leave it to product experts at NuxGame. So these are the places that you can find me. I love reading a lot. I'm still like a person who watches a lot of podcasts,
mm,
including yours. And then I read a lot about how things change, how behavior patterns change. And I take a lot of inspiration from quite outside the industry, I would say. So, I would advise to anyone who wants to do a great job in any industry to sometimes leave your area of expertise, area of the industry, your domain,
mm.
and like really go and explore what's happening in the world, because this is where you get the really impactful insights that you can implement in your work.
Yeah. And thank you for that suggestion because I am also a big proponent of reading outside your area of expertise. Just makes for more well rounded people and better conversations, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
more, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I do have a recommendation, which I will share with the audience. It's called The Machine Layer. If you haven't read this, this is like, I don't know. It's been super duper helpful for me to understand how this new area of AI search works. So that's my recommendation. Do you have a book recommendation for the audience?
So, the thing that brought me into iGaming, it's not a traditional AI thing. I will be honest with you. It's a little bit of a secret passion of mine. And I read Creativity Incorporated about Pixar. It's a
Mm,
book about storytelling. And I think that, currently with all of the ways people utilize AI and, the way they scale mediocrity, this is the phrase that I read recently and I really
mm.
loved it. I think it's so important to remain authentic and consistent. And I, I believe that any marketer should really know and understand the basics of storytelling, because at the end of the day, AI will never ever replace you if you know how to tell the right story.
I love that. That's going on my list. Thank you.
I hope you will enjoy it. Let me know then.
I will. I will. Thank you again for being a great guest. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Ciao.
The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is eCoffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.